Hello and welcome back to the channel. So it is the 12th of January today, and we've had a week of quite low temperatures, sort of on and off. We've had it down to just around about -5, almost -6 in the coldest spots of my garden. It is now just on the thaw, so you can see pond is still frozen, and there's sort of frozen pockets around the garden. So there's a few frost protection covers that I'd thrown over kind of at the last minute, really. Still got a bit of a cold. So I sometimes just throw over like a ton bag over various pots and plants which are reasonably hardy, but I want to keep the worst of the frost off them. So yeah, so under here I've got some colocasia in pots, as well as a bird of paradise. It's a dwarf variety, and it generally stays out over winter, but I really carefully kind of wrap it and on the very coldest of nights, and then when it gets really cold, I then throw the ton bag over as well, just to give it a bit of extra protection. Sometimes this little pond here doesn't always freeze. There's a little bit of ice in there in patches at the moment, just because of the duration of the cold. But even things like the Gunnera medicata there, I just literally throw a pot over the top of it just to try and protect from the harshest of frosts there. Under here we have a tetrapanax hiding, and I literally just threw this old curtain over it, and it doesn't look too bad on there. Actually, the leaves are still green for now, except for the ones that were exposed to the hard frost. But yeah, that doesn't look too bad actually, and the stem is nice and thick on this one, so that should be fine on there. It's quite a good specimen, that one. Over here we have the Butiagrus, I think it is, on there. Let's have a look under, see how we're doing. Yeah, it looks all right under there actually. Again, this has got quite a thin fleece over it, but it was just to protect from the real harsh cold. And you see I've got a bit of insulation just wrapped around the trunk. Again, I mean, it is a reasonably hardy palm. See the tops of the bananas are, which were green, are now properly singed by the cold, but they're still upright. They've not fallen over yet. I think there's another tetrapanax hiding under that garden sheet. I don't protect the Trachycarpus at all. They always look fine. And to be honest, since I've put these big bootias in, that actually I don't protect these either. Not even around the stem, but mainly because I haven't had frost hard enough to really cause a problem with them. So yeah, they're pretty hardy. I think the worst they can take is about -10, and it's been about 15 years since we've had that here in my location. You see the tops of the bananas singed by the cold, but I think the stems are all right. They're well wrapped under there. I've had the greenhouse heater on for probably 3 or 4 of the days just overnight, and that is literally just to keep the frost off. Everything looks nice and green. The greenhouse heater in the middle there. I've even thrown in some of the tetrapanax, the smaller ones, which I just didn't want to get completely frozen outside. But you can see the Washingtonias are looking good. So generally on sort of -2 nights, I've actually had Washingtonias outside and they've been absolutely fine. But I just haven't had them out since I lost one last year, which was like a nice triple trunk one. I lost that one because basically my frost protection blew off the night before, and then that then killed it because it went down to about -6, I think, at that point. But yeah, these are, so everything in greenhouse looking good. Really pleased with that. And I leave my Trachycarpus seedlings outside on the benches, get a bit of sun during the day if the sun's up. But yeah, they're looking all really good. Pots are probably frozen solid, which they are, but they will thaw out today and looking good. You can see the back of the house, the roof on the north side of my house always stays frosty because it just doesn't get any sun. It's just checking with the chickens. Chickens all looking good, looking for treats. Let's sometimes throw over these pots over the top of any plants again that I just like to see the difference. I've got one there that's completely unprotected, and then I've got this one here that has the bucket over. Just to see the difference, really, you know, as the spring comes along, how quickly they rebound. So that was a Persicaria red dragon, that particular plant. You can see the frost pockets of where the sun doesn't get during the day. So up the top of the garden always thaws out, but as you get down this side, there's a couple of areas that doesn't completely thaw out. So under these tubs here, I've got an agapanthus, like the evergreen type variety. Got one under the pot and one next to it that's been exposed to the frost. And we'll just see whether the one on the right completely collapses and disintegrates, or whether the one on the left will hopefully stay intact. Getting under here, a very small Camerops familis there, little short leaves. I think the whole top of it died off and spear pulled one year. So this one should be all right though, because it's had the bucket over, so it's kept the worst of the damage off. Bit of an experiment under this one. Let's see what that's like. Oh, it looks all right actually. Amazingly, it's done quite well. These are like those white peace lily type house plants that you get, but I can't remember the name of this one at the moment. But yeah, it looks all right actually. Leaves look good. I think they have been slightly frozen, but I know they can take a slight frost and they'll be okay. But would you believe it? We've even got rhubarb popping up at this time of year in January. Unbelievable. Now this one here, this is my biggest banana plant. So I put my hand next to it, you can see the size of that trunk. It's pretty big. You can see the outer leaves slightly frosted. Feels pretty solid though. I don't think they're going to bend over anytime soon. So that's good. But you can see the leaves where obviously the frost has literally, the thickest stem at the top has collapsed. Be interesting to see actually how these do, because this is, being such a big banana plant, I've left it kind of half unwrapped. So if I zoom out, you can kind of see that a lot of the wrapping has kind of blown around a little bit on there, but this one's semi-protected, whereas my other plants are a little bit smaller and I have protected them to maintain the height. But this one's such a strong grower, I thought, well, if the top half collapsed and I lost half the height, it will rebound pretty well in this year. So that should look really good still. So it's a bit of an experiment just to see whether the wrapping that I'm doing is overkill or not on the bananas in my location. So I've heard a lot of people say that actually they don't need too much wrapping unless you get to really low temperatures. But this area actually is a little bit of a frost pocket on this side of the garden, although that's near the chicken coop, so it gets protection from that and from the laurel to the left of it. And let's just have a look in the garage, because I've got a lot of my new plants for the front garden and they are potted, so obviously I'm not going to put them in this time of year. So a lot of the palms I just throw in there. There's 2 Camerops familis under there. A little bit of fleece protection on them, but yeah, they look good. Stem's starting to thicken up a little bit. Let's have a quick look in the garage. So this is an unheated garage. So anything that goes in here, there's quite often I've put the Canary Island date palms in here, especially the big one as well. You can see it's like Palm City in here. So, and anything like, you know, my yuccas and things like that, which is hardy, but it's a smaller one, and I've only just bought it, so I wanted to I've got the space in here, so I thought I'd just throw it in here. So yeah, these are all ready to go out in the front garden. So I will place these in the front garden for now, or at the side of the house. We've got a week of no frost at all, so that's really, really good. So I will move them to the front to their sort of locations. And then if we do get really, really low temperatures, so anything below about -3, I will bring them back into the garage. So I will plan for that, looking at the weather forecasts and stuff. But obviously I want them to get as much light as possible outside and to really acclimatise to the weather as well. So they'll get the wind, they'll get the rain and the temperatures. So that will make them a little bit more robust for next year, mainly because these could have been grown, or quite likely would have been grown in greenhouses. So it would have been slightly forced on there. So I need to acclimatise them. So yeah, so that's my sort of update really on the big freeze that we had, which wasn't too bad in my location. I'm fairly near the south coast. I'm probably about 5 miles away from the coast. So it's been cold, but not super cold on there. We've had a little bit of snow on 1 or 2 of the days, but it basically, as it was snowing, it was melting as it landed, and only really settled in sort of frost pocket areas of the garden, and the next day it would pretty much melt. So yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed the little update, and I will see you on the next video.